"20 years ago, all the way back in spring of 2001, I was a 17-year-old junior in high school. At that time, online social media was in its infancy. This was before the days of MySpace and Facebook. Back then, it was rare for anyone to have anything more than an email address, so the closest thing I had to social media was my AOL Instant Messenger handle. I was kind of antisocial back then, and I got picked on sometimes, but I had a few friends and we would chat on AOL from time to time. I was online one night when all of a sudden, I got a new message from Ashley472, or some other random string of numbers at the end of her name. This happened a long time ago, so I can't remember all the details exactly, but she introduced herself and she said she went to my school. She said her friend thought I was really cute, but she was too shy to talk to me. I asked her who she was and who her friend was, but she said she couldn't tell me yet because her friend didn't know she was doing this. Keep in mind, back then you couldn't just look someone up by the real name on the service, so you had to know someone's handle to message them. So this person clearly knew who I was, but I didn't know her. She asked me a few more questions, like what kind of music I listened to and who my friends were. I told her the name of some of my friends and she said she knew them as well. Then she said she had to go and she would talk to me later. As a rather nerdy guy that had never even such kissed a girl before, I'll admit I was absolutely thrilled about this. Although I still didn't know who was doing this, as I didn't know anyone named Ashley. I figured I would find out soon enough. Well, I found out alright, in a very frightening way. I didn't see Ashley online for a few days. I messaged her a few times and told her I still wanted to talk, but her away message was some string of Britney Spears lyrics. I started to lose interest when I heard the unmistakable door opening sound of someone logging into their account. It was Ashley. We said hello and she asked me if I knew her friend Michelle. I knew her right away. I had been working with Michelle on a project in theater class together. I was beaming with delight. I always kind of liked her, but was too shy to say anything about it. Ashley and I talked a little more about Michelle, and she told me that she would set us up, but then her next message to me was really strange. She said, "Yeah, he doesn't know I got him now, LOL. But then she quickly apologized and said she meant to send that to her friend. I was a little creeped out by this, and I should have known something shady was going on. But again, I was a desperate 17-year-old that didn't have any experience with dating, so I let it slide. Ashley told me she would meet me near the gym the following day before classes started to talk to me about it. I arrived at the entrance of the gym the next morning and waited. 5-10 minutes passed and nobody arrived. This wasn't really a popular hangout spot in the morning, as it was out of the way and my school didn't have any gym classes scheduled for the first hour of the morning. So aside from a few random kids, I was alone most of the time. I began to think I had been stood up, so I started to walk away. As I'm walking, suddenly two guys rounded the corner.
"There he is,"
one of them says, and they both walk menacingly towards me. One of them was swinging a wallet chain around in his hand. Ashley had arrived, only there was no Ashley at all. I pretended like I didn't hear them and kept walking, hoping I could get around them. But one of them grabbed me by my shirt and said,
"Where are you going, loser?"
and pushed me backwards against the wall. I was trapped behind these two guys.
"Looking for Ashley?"
one of them said with a laugh. I was frozen in fear.
"Hey, what are you doing crushing on Michelle, huh?" Why are you flirting with my girl?
I didn't know how to respond. I weakly stammered out, I didn't know she had a boyfriend.
You're a dumbass.
He gazed at me with an expression that was both angry and amused. Then he said,
Hey, you stay away from Michelle. She's mine. Got that?
Then he whipped the wallet chain at me. I closed my eyes instinctively. It hit the wall on the side of my head. I opened my eyes and he was holding it in front of my face. He chuckled menacingly and said,
If she finds out about this, I'm gonna choke you with this chain.
Then he and his friend walked away. I stood there terrified for a few minutes, my heart racing. I had just been threatened with a weapon by Michelle's boyfriend and his cohort. I took a minute to calm down. With nothing else to do, I left and headed for class. Working with Michelle after that day was a little nerve-wracking, but I don't think she caught on to my unease. I was afraid to log onto my AOL account for days afterwards. When I finally did, I had a few messages from Ashley that were basically calling me a loser and telling me to leave Michelle alone. I blocked that account, but he tried to harass me again with different handles. It got to the point in which I was afraid to hear the ding sound when someone would initiate a conversation with me. For a while, the different chat sounds were somewhat traumatizing for me to hear. I saw him in the hallway a few times and he would either call me an idiot or make the finger across the throat gesture. I probably should have told someone what he did, but I was just too scared. A few months later, summer rolled around and Michelle's boyfriend graduated. He eventually stopped hassling me on AOL and soon things went back to normal. Michelle and that guy, whose real name was Billy by the way, had broken up later on during my senior year. I had heard that he was abusive and controlling, which wasn't surprising at all. Good for her. Fast forward to my 10-year high school reunion in 2012. I saw Michelle and I finally told her about what her ex-boyfriend had done to me all those years ago. She was completely shocked and apologized for what had happened. She explained that Billy had threatened other guys around her as well and that he got a thrill from intimidating people. The last she had heard of him was that he had fled the state after some trouble with another one of his girlfriends and was somewhere in Florida avoiding sexual assault charges. Yeah, what an upstanding citizen Billy turned out to be. It's been 2 decades since this happened. I know I should have suspected something was up with an unknown girl messaged me out of the blue and never told me who she was. But you have to cut me a break. This happened before anyone had ever heard of catfishing. It was a lot easier back then to trick people online into thinking you were someone else. One part of the whole thing I never figured out. I have no idea how Billy found my AOL handle. Once again, you couldn't just look someone up by their real name, so you had to know their user handle. I never exchanged my handle with Michelle, so he didn't get it from her. I guess that's a mystery that will forever remain unsolved. So my message is this: even though this happened a long time ago, it's still just as true today as it was back then that you should never blindly trust someone you don't know online. Verify who that person is before you give out any information or agree to anything that person wants you to do. I'm lucky that all that happened to me was just a bad scare. Also, to Michelle's ex-boyfriend Billy, I hope you're locked away in a cold prison cell somewhere. If your corpse is decaying 6 feet under, that's fine too. 20 years have passed since you and that asshole friend of yours catfished me and threatened to strangle me with the wallet chain, but I still hope we never, ever meet again. I'm 18 and started attending college this last year in the fall of 2020. I was upset I couldn't start my year experiencing the college life like I wanted since we have to be home due to the current pandemic. I'm single and I can admit I'm not the brightest person ever. I can sometimes lack common sense, so with that being said, I'll get on with the story. It was within the first 2 weeks that the fall semester had started and I was starting to feel a bit lonely. While in the middle of studying late at night, I grabbed my phone and got on Grindr. I've had the app in my phone for a few months, but was never using it seriously. At first I only downloaded it as a joke, but as time went on, I was using it more frequently. When I got on, I received a message from this guy. We'll call him Nate. Before deciding to reply to Nate, I wanted to check out his profile. He was a pretty cute guy and I was really loving his pictures where he was shirtless. To sum it up, I was really simping over this guy already. His bio explained that he was in town for a few weeks for work-related reasons, so he was staying at a hotel that wasn't too far from where I lived. I finally stopped looking at his profile and went back to the messages. He sent the typical hey with a winky face. I responded with, "Hey, you're really hot. What are you up to?" We talked for about an hour. We exchanged photos and some inappropriate messages and later agreed to finally meet up. Up to this point, there weren't any red flags of any kind that this might be a catfish. Everything seemed pretty normal. I've been on other dates before and this sort of behavior was nothing out of the ordinary. Before I ever go on any date, no matter if it's in the daytime or nighttime, I always notify at least one of my friends my location in case it all goes south. The hotel this guy was staying in was at least 15 minutes away from my apartment. As I was heading there in my car, I get a message from him asking,
I think it will be pretty sketchy to bring you back into my room. I don't want my business partner seeing me bringing in some random guy. Can we maybe do it in your car?
I found it a bit odd, but it isn't the first time I've been asked to do it in my car, so whatever. I went along with his request, but I did find it weird though. Are his business partners going to be checking who he's bringing inside his hotel room? Even if they did, why would they care? I brushed it off regardless. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not the brightest person. I finally made it to the hotel Nate said he was at, and it was already midnight at this point. I was really hoping this wouldn't go bad because this would be such a waste of my time. I checked my phone and Nate had sent me a message telling me to go around the back of the hotel, so I did just that. This is when I should have turned back and went right back home. I'm in the back of the parking lot of the hotel, and I noticed this guy in a green hoodie between these cars. I assume it was Nate because who else would be outside of the hotel this late? I pulled up underneath a light post just a few feet away from a dumpster that was in the very corner of the parking lot. The guy in the green hoodie was now nowhere in sight. Because of that, I was a little scared and immediately locked my doors. I checked my phone and saw that Nate had sent me another message. This time it read,
Come over by the dumpster.
I thought just maybe Nate didn't want to be seen getting in my car this late at night by some hotel staff. Either way, I started to feel sketched out, but thought I was letting my anxiety get the best of me. I was pretty determined at this point. So I put my car in reverse and pull up right next to the dumpster and start scanning around the area. I still don't see anyone, nor that guy in the green hoodie from a few seconds ago. My heart began to race and I start to sweat. I'm thinking to myself that this was maybe a bad idea. I check the app again and I get another message from Nate, and this is when I froze. It read,
Turn your car off and come behind the dumpsters. I got something for you.
My flight or fight response kicked in. I dropped my phone and noped the hell out of there. I was driving recklessly, driving past red lights. I didn't care. I just wanted to get out of there and make it back home. I got back home, ran to my room, and shut the door. I was shaking at this point. I thought to myself that maybe I overreacted. That was until I checked Nate's profile. I thought going back on the app that I would receive a message asking why I left. But no, his whole profile was gone. I think he blocked me, which begs the question, what was Nate or whoever that guy was planning? Was I going to get jumped, robbed, or maybe something worse? I deleted the app that night and never looked back. Seriously, anyone who uses dating apps, be careful who you meet with. I really should have been using the head above my shoulders. Never letting that happen again.